Mustang GT for people who want more out of life than a little peace and quiet.
Guys, this is going to be a fun video. Guys, I have been waiting to do this video for so long. I've just wanted to talk about it. Just wanted to discuss, you know, my history with Fox Bodies, what I remember about them, and also the fact that we did not always call these cars Fox Bodies. But I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that just assume these cars have always been called Fox Bodies. First off, let's just touch on how cool these cars were back in the day.
The new Mustang SVO. Claims are unnecessary. The machine speaks for itself. Have you driven the best-built American cars? Have you driven a Ford lately?
So back in the late 80s, really, even before that some, but I'm just talking about what I remember. But back in from the late 80s to about the mid 90s, these things ruled the roost, guys. Fox Bodies were not slow for their day. They didn't make a lot of horsepower, and there were cars that made a little bit more, but Fox Bodies were always light, and they always hooked real good. And they made a good amount of torque. If you had a good run of Fox Body with maybe some exhaust, underdrive pulleys, and a couple of other little small mods, you pretty much could outrun almost any production car out there. You know, and speaking up to like a Corvette, you know, in a drag race. Back in the day, we didn't really do roll races and stuff like that. That wasn't really a thing. I mean, sure, we did it some, but it didn't count, didn't matter. Not like it does today. But back in the day, if you put a good tire on these cars, which there wasn't a lot available back then, but if you could get one of these cars to hook and you put a really good driver in it, you could pretty much handle anything on the road. These cars were nasty for their day. There again, I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, but I was there, I lived it, I saw it. I know what these cars did. They were quick cars. There wasn't really anything else out there to compete with it. Maybe the Camaro, sure, that car was light, made a pretty good amount of horsepower, but these cars held their own. And another funny thing is, you know, nowadays everybody wants a coupe, a notchback, whatever you want to call it. Back in the day, the GT was the one to have. It wasn't the coupe, it wasn't the LX. Now these were the cars that my dad always bought. You know, we only bought GTs. We didn't buy the coupes, we didn't buy the LX hatchbacks and stuff like that. But there was a small group of people out there in the world that knew the coupes were lighter and quicker. You could have a GT and you could have a coupe, and that guy with that coupe, if he could drive, could outrun the GT. I mean, these cars were extremely light for even back in the day. I mean, there were a lot of heavy cars. You know, we were just coming out of the 70s good, and cars were really heavy. We had just gotten into the really light cars. It's just a fun little side note that nowadays everybody wants the coupe. I know there's a lot of you guys that still like the GTs, and I get that. I can appreciate that. I'm a GT man myself. But the coupes back in the day, nah, it wasn't about those. It was about these right here. So anyway, let's talk a little bit more about these cars. And what is this video about? Why did you say before they were Fox Bodies? Well, like I said before, they were not always called Fox Bodies. We did not always refer to these cars as Fox Bodies. Back in the day, these cars pretty much were known for that right there. Most of us called these cars 5.0s back in the day.
Yo, don't even waste your time, see? Cause I can red line and leave you far behind, because I'm out rolling in my 5.0.
this car would have been either called a 5.0 or GT. Now you kind of had to distinguish between the two because they did obviously make 5.0 notches and LX hatchbacks, but a 5.0 meant a Fox body back in the day. We also just called them 5.0s, and we just called them Mustangs. You know, these cars were just simply Mustangs back in the day. That's kind of cool, because even I forget that they've not always been called Fox body. I know there are people out there in the world that don't want to hear Fox body. They don't like the term because they were never called that. But we did that almost out of necessity, and I'll explain myself. So in 2010, for the 2011 model year, we had a new 5.0, right? So you couldn't really say 5.0 anymore or 5.0 anymore and know that we were talking about these cars, because when that body style come out, when the new 5.0s come out, they were all the rage. So anytime anybody said anything about a 5.0, you were going to be talking about those cars. We called these cars Fox bodies way before then. The earliest I can remember referring to one of these cars as a Fox body was somewhere probably around 2007. I may be wrong on that, but somewhere around that era. When was the first time you ever either referred to one of these as a Fox body or heard that? Now, and I don't mean Fox platform or Fox chassis, because originally when these cars were made, yes, they were the Fox chassis. That's the chassis these cars are on. These cars shared this platform with a bunch of other cars. You guys already know that. I'll tell you something else. Foxcast Media has posted a video pretty recently where he discusses that, the different platforms. It's a good video. You guys need to check that out. We never referred to them as Fox cars, Fox platform, Fox chassis. We didn't say any of that. Definitely not Fox bodies. There were 94 GTs, there were 99 GTs, you know, 05 GTs, all the different body styles were still GT cars. So you couldn't really call them just a GT anymore. So to refer to these cars, you had to say 79 to 93 Mustang. The GT did not make a comeback until 1982. Okay, so now you got to get specific. Now if you're looking for a part, you got to type in either a 93, a 92, or whatever the case may be. So almost out of necessity, the term Fox body was born for these cars. But really, the term Fox body really didn't kind of take off until around 2009-ish, because as soon as Ford started talking about the new 5.0 coming out in the Mustangs, you know, you could no longer refer to these cars as a 5.0 or a 5.0 or whatever the case may be, because they're like, well, which one? Which one are you talking about? So we kind of had to go to something else. And I think that was the best thing for these cars, was to basically be coined as Fox bodies, because it makes looking up either parts, pictures, anything, being able to search the internet for these cars. The term Fox body has helped us so much, we've probably not even thought about it. Just think about having to type in 79 to 93 Mustang parts, you know, 79 to 93 pictures. Okay, so what happens if somebody doesn't label it correctly, right? You have to search each individual year. So this is with this car having the Fox platform, it just makes it super easy to search. Same thing as the Terminator. You type in Terminator, you're either gonna get, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger stuff,
I'll be back,
or you're gonna get Cobra content, one of the two, right? We didn't really call those cars notches back in the day, or notchbacks. At least not in my area anyway. We called them coupes. They were coupe cars. So the trunk cars were coupe cars. Nobody really called them trunk cars that I remember, for the most part. So you had the GT, you had the LX hatchback, and then you had the coupe. Back to how these cars performed back in the day. Guys, they were impressive. They really were. And they still are to this day, to a point. Yes, these cars don't make 5, 6, 7, 800 horsepower out of the factory like some of these cars are doing now, but that's fine. You don't need that. These cars are really fun in the form that they are. Now you shouldn't go buy one of these cars in stock form and think you have yourself a hot rod. No, but what you do have is a very fun car that's enjoyable to drive and easy to modify. That's what these cars are all about. They're all about taking them and making them your own, and that's easy to do now. But back in the day, these cars were out running so much stuff. They just were. I know somebody out there is going to disagree with me and say these cars were slow as balls. You know what? I was there. I experienced it. I watched these things outrun a lot of different stuff. There again, part of the reason why I love these cars so much. They're just so damn cool. And they're still quick cars. You can take this car right here, which is bone stock other than a B-cam. You can put a 125 shot of nitrous on it, put a set of 410s in it, put a set of drag radios on it, go to the track and have fun. Car's gonna run, you know, mid 7s or so, like that. These cars are super fun. The name for these cars just kind of evolved. Isn't that kind of cool? That's kind of cool. It just kind of happened right under our noses and we never even noticed it. Look guys, if you don't already have a Fox body, what are you doing? I drive this thing more than I drive that. Just a Fox body guy, man. I just love them. I just love them. Anyway guys, go pick you a Fox body up if you don't have one already. Include your family in on it. Make it a family build. Get your kids out there, turn some wrenches. And as always, thanks for watching.
This is the new Ford Mustang GT. With its unmistakably new body surrounding an equally dramatic 5-liter port fuel-injected engine, it's easy to pick out the Mustang GT from a crowd. Not that it's likely to be in one. This is the new Mustang GT.
Have you driven a Ford lately?